Professor Varoufakis, you did a speech, a lecture tonight on the Greek drama, if you want to, and you've always been represented as the bad guy in the whole drama, and Alexis Tsipras more or less as the good guy. Was that on purpose?
Absolutely not on our part. Indeed, Alexis and I were, for the first months that we were together, we were on the same page. If anything, I was slightly more moderate, but the reason why that portrayal went through was because there was an attempt by the creditors to drive a wedge between us. And
why would they do that?
Oh, because that's what you do with an enemy. If you want to divide, you divide and rule. Remember the old British Empire strategy? You divide and rule. And he was a prime minister. I was at the forefront in the Eurogroup. And I was a great threat to the Troika because it was clear, I had made it abundantly clear, and proved it in the end that I was not going to sign another extend and pretend loan. So I had to be gotten rid of. They couldn't get rid of both of us that easily. So the idea was to drive a wedge between us and to present us as separate, and indeed to drive us apart. In the end, it worked.
When you were, negotiating all this time, it always looked to many Germans like Greece was just trying to take out of money from the German taxpayer.
It was precisely the opposite.
Could you explain that?
Yes, of course. What was my line from the beginning? I'm not going to take money from the German, the Slovak, the Portuguese taxpayers if I know that I can't repay it. Unlike previous Greek ministers, I would not be bamboozled into taking new loans on unless we have stabilization of the Greek economy. So it was precisely the opposite. I was being lambasted for not taking more money from the German taxpayers. Because you know what, in the end, and this is the bad news here, your government doesn't really care about getting your money back. When they say, oh, we will extend, we don't want a haircut, but we will extend it for 1,000 years, the loan. What's this? My argument was, let's stabilize Greek GDP, gross domestic product, and start growing so that we can pay more back more timely. So this was the reason why there was this standoff, was because I was refusing to sign on an agreement, just anything, in order to get more money.
Why would it happen in the end that you were having a referendum, that the government in a way was winning by the Ochi vote, but then signing anyway?
It's a very good question, isn't it? Just because this is exactly what happened, I resigned.
Okay, because it didn't seem to be understandable to anybody outside Greece why Alexis Tsipras would do that.
Well, maybe because there was a hidden desire that we would lose the referendum, and then we would be able to say that we signed because the Greek people ordered us to. But I fought for the no, wanting to honor it.
Okay. Now you say the 85 billions, I'm sorry, you couldn't pay back, or Greece couldn't pay back anyway. So what's the rationale behind the Troika? Is there, and if there is any, to impose another loan of 85 billion? If everybody knows, as you say, it can't be repaid.
There are three bailouts. One was in 2010. Yeah. They knew that they wouldn't get the money back. So why did they do it? Because it was a hidden bailout for the banks here in Germany and particularly in France. So they couldn't say this to the Bundestag, we're going to bail out the banks again. And they had done it a year before, they didn't want to say it again. The second bailout was a bailout for the Greek banks, which was again presented as a bailout for the Greek people. Not so. The third bailout was a way of buying time, as Professor Zinn said in the talk, in order to find out, to complete the negotiations between France and Germany on what to do with the Eurozone. Greece has always been collateral damage, as the Americans say.
Okay. Apparently you said today that in your finance ministry we were working on a plan X, considering eventually a Grexit. What happened exactly?
Well, that was not our intention. Look, if you are the Minister of Defense, you have to have a contingency plan against invasion. You don't want the invasion. You're not working towards it. So I was not working towards Grexit. Grexit was never on the plans. But we had to have a contingency plan because everybody else did. And when I knew that the German finance minister wanted Grexit, it was incumbent upon me to present a plan to the Prime Minister in case this was forced upon us.
And what exactly was this plan? What did it comprise?
Oh, it was very complex, because this would be a very complex affair. Exiting a monetary union is a nightmare. It's replete with dangers, there are many different possibilities of error and of disaster, and it was an attempt to map out all the possible paths that one could follow if pushed out. But my real plan B, if you want, my real fallback position, and what I was recommending to the Prime Minister in case our banks were closed down, was not exit, but it was default to the ECB, restructuring the debt to the ECB as a retaliation for the ECB shutting down our banks. That I was not allowed to put into operation in the end, and this is why the government surrendered.
You said that the future of Europe is sort of endangered by the euro problems. What's the future now?
If we continue denying the importance of changing the architecture of the euro will collapse, one way or the other. We don't know exactly how it will happen, whether it will be Greece, Portugal, Italy, or even Germany that leaves. But this monetary union of ours is simply inconsistent with the demands of reality. My view is that we should fix it. Others believe that we should fragment it, either take some countries out or dissolve the whole thing. If we fragment it, even by a small amount, by some countries coming out, I think this will be detrimental to the whole of the European Union, and it will only be beneficial to the enemies of Europe.
Would you think that you're more European now than you were before?
No. I was always a Europeanist.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.